Hello, my name is Mordred Viking, and I'd like to welcome you to this stream of Hearts of Iron 4, where we are playing as Finland. This is the Kingdom of Finland. The German game, as you may know, we couldn't get the save working. It broke because of an update. So we are playing as the Finns instead. We have managed to weather the storm. We've managed to get rid of the communists and the national populists, and have got a strong and steady kingdom, or king rather, in King Frederick Karl here. The Russians have been massing up on our borders. We are still very much in the German sphere of influence. The grain supplies, we are working on grain right now because we were reliant on grain from Ukraine. Ukraine was like, you can't have any more grain. Sorry. So we had a bit of a famine going on, but we are still solving that at the moment with the land reform. And then once that is done, other things can happen. Elsewhere in the world, the Kingdom of Spain has been fighting a rather good civil war against the Carlists and the Communists. They had actually lost Madrid at some point, but were able to stay in the fight, turn things around, and are now pushing back. It looks like they'll be taking out the Carlists very, very soon, and then they can turn their full force against the CNT-FAI. In the meantime, the American War of Independence, the American Civil War, the Second Civil War, has been raging. The USA has been wiped out, taken up mostly by the Pacific States. The Pacific States and the American Union State are allied against the CSA, which is the first time I've ever seen that occur, but is kind of an interesting thing to have happened. The Entente in this game is extremely strong. The Empire of Brazil has actually joined the Entente, as have a few other powers. Trying to remember who. Ooh, the Dutch may actually lose Indonesia here. Interesting. Whoa, Siam's going on a bit of a killing spree. Going against Burma and Indo-Chinese Union. Interesting. AOG is currently fighting against the Yunnan clique, having had their own civil war, which they won. Mongolia is looking pretty strong. The Ottomans are fighting the Ottoman War, and I would say that one's actually relatively equal right now. Unfortunately, I don't have enough troops to actually form any volunteers or anything like that myself. Ireland has just joined the Reichspakt. Due to British provocation, Ireland has joined the German sphere, hoping the Kaiser can protect them from against the syndicalist machinations. Okay, so not only are the Entente growing stronger, but so are we. I would say the syndicalists are actually kind of getting smashed in pretty much every direction. The Maastricht Kingdom has capitulated again. Is that the fifth time? They keep on capitulating. No transcoding. Oh, that's unfortunate. I'm on mobile, can't see the video. You should be able to, I'm not sure. It's there, I'm looking at it. This feels way too loud. Okay, better. So I think we are basically just waiting for the land reform to finish. We are doing a couple of different technologies, and it's kind of a waiting game. We're either going to get the equipment and manpower being another big problem, to actually raise enough troops to start sending volunteers, or we're going to have to wait for Germany to go to war with somebody, and then we can jump in with both feet and go, ha-ha! We're finished. We'll finish this! Meanwhile, let's watch how this is going. Part of the reason the Pacific States is doing so well is because they have about 1 billion volunteers from various different countries, which is kind of an interesting one. Lend-Lease. They're getting Lend-Lease from Panama, Argentina, Italian Republic, Austria, French Republic, Japan, and the Commonwealth of Canada. And they're getting volunteers from Austria, French Empire, or French Republic, Japan, Russia, and Canada. Interesting. They have a lot of friends in a lot of different places. The Greek state declared war on the Hellenistic socialist thingy, which is really small. So the Greek state has 3 soldiers and 1 factory versus 4 soldiers and 16 factories. And there's the South African revolt. Turkestan Khanate took out Eyelash Order, and South African revolt has happened in South Africa, so that one has sparked off. This is definitely the era of the Civil War. There are many different civil wars at the moment. With their recent victory in the South African 1938 elections, the National Party under President James Hertzog was confident it could implement its sweeping changes to the country's system of racial segregation, which they call apartheid, regardless of the protests from the more British-leaning provinces of Natal and the Cape. Today, that confidence was proven ill-founded, as leaders in Durban signed a document they call the Natal Covenant, which declares they will never surrender to the nationalists and will see their own government toppled by force. Battle lines have been drawn. Hey, Vincent. Right, yes, I have a technology to do as well. So we just got the field hospitals, which I would like to start sending out to our armies as soon as possible. 38, so we could get radio detection. I don't think I particularly want to do that. We've got you working already. None of those available. Definitely not going to have the industry for tanks, or the oil for that matter. So instead I think we're going to go with the improved infantry equipment. We'll try and stay relatively alive with that. Any plans for Warhammer 2 Grimhammer? Nerd Nick, I'm just too busy with other games at the moment. Total War 3 Kingdoms has been mind-blowingly successful, so that's probably going to be taking the place of Warhammer for the foreseeable future. But I'll definitely return to it at some point. Possibly when there's another DLC or something like that. It's just 3 Kingdoms has been such a massive success that I kind of want to focus on that. Oh, Kingdom of Treaty of Mandalay. Which is what exactly? The Kingdom of Siam took 5 states. The Union of Burma was annexed. Siam is doing really well. And then they have a Burmese puppet now. Land reform finished. Excellent. Okay, so land reform was here and allowed me to get rid of the rather nasty grain penalties, and is now reducing supply consumption by 5% and increasing the resource gain efficiency by 10. We can now set up customs barriers, which will improve relations with Germany, Finland, and a whole bunch of others. And then the University of Helsinki, and then financial strength to get rid of Black Monday. We must further integrate ourselves into the Middle European economic sphere. While this will increase our reliance on Germany, it will allow us to have a better safety net in case of another Black Monday-like event. Begin. That's only 49 days. So the Turkestan Khanate is now really quite large. Kind of curious to see what Russia does, because Russia's taken out White Ruthenia, but that's the only thing that they have actually actively gone after. And right, the Carlists have been defeated. I think that actually happened last time. They must have had some uprisings or something. They are now taking out this pocket here, and then I think they're going to be focusing entirely on the last bit of the CNTFAI. Meanwhile, the American Civil War, still something of a stalemate. Despite the number of troops that the Pacific States and the American Union State can bring to the table, the CSA still has a lot of manpower and a lot of industry. So if we go to current wars, and then that one, we can see that the CSA has lost 1.4 million, while the Pacific States and American Union State have lost 1.8 million. Industrial levels are roughly equal, even with what they have right now. And how much manpower do they have left? So they're on extensive conscription. They have about 3 million. The Pacific States have extensive and are at 150,000. And then the AOS also extensive and have about 1 million. So the CSA has a lot more manpower to throw at any problems. Meanwhile, that builds up. All the ships and things are trained, right? Yes. Another peace deal. Siam took out the Indo-Chinese Union. And now Siam is massive. So they've just taken Vietnam. I assume the UK got eaten in this game. I've not seen any of your stream on it before. Oh, no, this is a mod. Sorry. Had to pass that one for a second. In this scenario, basically, Germany won the First World War, so the world is pretty radically different. And one of the things that occurred in that is the British Empire was, well, it wasn't broken up, it was kicked out of Britain, basically. So there was a massive communist uprising in the Union, what is now known as the Union of Britain, and then the Empire fled to Canada. So what was formerly known as the British Empire is now ruled from Canada, and one of their objectives is to try and take Britain back and basically restore their homeland. Same thing happened with the French. So you've got the Commune of France here, which is the communists, and then you have the French Republic, which is the nation formerly known as France, basically being in what the remnant of the French colonies. And those two are joined together in the Entente. So obviously those were the losing nations in the First World War, where Germany won. And part of their losing was these massive revolts that rose up as a result. Kingdom of Siam has joined the Co-Prosperity Sphere. That's the faction with Japan. Interesting. So Japan's starting to add a couple of people, and now that they have Siam, that's really quite a strong block. So we've got the Entente, we've got the Reichspakt, we've got the Third International, and now the Co-Prosperity Sphere. Good show. Didn't know about this mod. Interesting. It's one of the best things out there. It's amazing. Like the amount of flavor, the amount of events. Like pretty much every country in the game has a focus tree, which is enormous. Like even small ones, and even some countries that don't exist at the start of the game. Like if you are playing as the Dominion of Canada and you retake Britain, you can reform the United Kingdom, which has a focus tree, even though it doesn't exist at the start. Like they've done an absolutely phenomenal job. Like seriously, every country has got one. They're currently working on China, so China is not as advanced as everything else. One of my favourites is the Russian focus tree. It's ridiculous. It's enormous. Look at all this juiciness. And it's not just one level. Wait, there's more down here. It's insane. They really have done an absolutely incredible job. And just like the atmosphere and the feeling of the mod and everything like that, really well thought out. I really do like it. The PSA is also significantly less populated compared to the CSA and the AUS. They might be the first to fall of the three. I doubt that, Silverose, because they have a lot of volunteers fighting for them. So I think a lot of the fighting being done up here is not actually them, it's their allies. Lord Grace Stroke, thank you very much for the follow. And Jeez Christ, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Have you had any luck getting the stream up, Marshall? So what else do we need to work on? We've got Nokia in place. What construction are we doing? We're still building some more civilian factories, which is fine. It's going to allow me to kickstart my industry. And because we're already actually in a war economy, we should be able to build up those military factories really quite quickly. Kingdom of Ukraine declared war on the Ukrainian civil war. Socialist Republic of Ukraine, fighting against Ukraine. So who's going to... What's this one looking like? So they have 5 factories versus 17. 29 divisions versus 8? 9? I don't see this ending well for the socialists. Matt, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Okay, custom barriers, done. Next up we are going to work on... the University of Helsinki. Diverting funding towards the University of Helsinki, which is Finland's top university, is key if we are to create and foster an environment in which the top minds of Finland can coalesce and bring about the innovation to the country. And that is going to give us a rather valuable research slot, which is going to be really, really nice. And there's the computing machine. It's October 38, so I think we can get like one more technology in, like so, before the end of the year. I'm quite new here. Am I planning? Have I played multiplayer games before? Funny you should say that. I'm actually involved in the Paradox 3-Day War multiplayer session, which is happening on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So if you want to see myself playing with a bunch of other very large YouTubers like Feedback, Prussian Prince dropped out. Who else is in it? I'm not actually sure who's in this. Who am I up against? How can I find this out the most easily? Oh, I know. I have an email. Here it is. Oh, I'm not actually allowed to announce this. They haven't actually mentioned everyone who's in it. So all I can say is I'm in this with Feedback. He's on my team. So I'm playing as Spain. He's playing as France. Then we've got Victor, who's one of the developers, playing as Portugal. That's the French-Iberian Alliance. Then we've also got, and I need to double check what they've actually released and I can talk about, because some of this stuff is super secret. Okay, so they've announced 3 teams. There's Feedback, me, and Victor. We're the French Alliance. Then there's the Prussian Prince, Traxium, and Zarin Tharn, playing as the Central Powers. That's Germany, Poland, and Hungary. And we've also got Florry, Daniel, and Ocelot Strategy playing as the UK, Sweden, and Finland as the Northern Lights. And then there is one more faction that has not yet been announced, and I don't think I can talk about. But that is happening on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, kicking off at 6 PM British Summer Time. I will be streaming it, and it should be absolutely fantastic. I'm really excited about that. So, if we do this, there should be some details there. Then the other thing I'm doing this weekend is on Saturday night, Sunday morning, midnight Saturday, going into Sunday. I am doing an Europa Universalis 4 stream for Paradox. It's a sponsored stream, and that's going to be on Steam. Like, that's being put on the Steam website store page, and it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. So if you guys want to get a lot of Paradox content this weekend, there's going to be a lot of Paradox content this weekend. And yes, as Silver Rose has said, we do have community multiplayer games. So that one is not community, but the community ones we do have and we do run. At the moment, we're doing Europa Universalis 4, though. The geopolitical scales continue to tip, changing the balance, and with them, many a strategic calculus. There will be consequences for the region and the world. So the Philippines and Siam have joined the co-prosperity sphere. So if we go and take a look at the factions map mode, we can see the Donau Ariabund, the Third Internationale, the Reichspakt, the Entente, the Great Khanate, forgot about those guys, and then the Crow Prosperity Sphere. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rather large factions already appearing, rather than the usual 3. Some dudes in Central... Oh yeah, those guys, like Nicaragua and Honduras and the like. I believe in one. Oh no, there are 2. The People's Vanguard and the Liberal Pact. The fall of Barcelona. Reports from Barcelona confirm that the anarcho-syndicalist city has been captured by advancing Spanish troops after staged fights across the Sierra de Cosarola mountain range. Anarcho-syndicalist forces put up stiff resistance, hoping to delay the Spanish forces for as long as possible, but they were eventually beaten back. There were reports of long urban fights through the Gothic quarter of Barcelona and sparse fighting along the Barcelonian Riviera. This same Riviera was the site of a long and luxurious parade by Spanish troops as they marched along the sunny beaches, a clear symbol that the Kingdom of Spain has taken control of the Catalan coastline. And with that, the Spanish Civil War is over, and the good guys won. Kingdom of Spain took 6 states. CNTFAI was annexed. So Kingdom of Spain is now free to do whatever they want to do, and they were supported by the Germans and the Canadians and the Austrians. Okay, so Spain could actually go in pretty much any direction. Victory in the Civil War, our place in the world. So they can choose whether they want to join the Reichspakt, join the Entente, or go after the Entente. Interesting. Mobile defense finished. That is a doctrine, so we want to continue down this line. Now, we need to make a decision. Dispersed or integrated support? I have been putting quite a lot of artillery in my units because I want to use as little manpower as possible and do as much damage as possible. So I think we're going to beef up the line artillery rather than the support companies. The support companies are instead going to be things like the field hospitals. And speaking of that, we should take a look at the division template, which is this one. Right, I haven't actually designed the divisions yet. I'm thinking back to the German game, that's why. Well, we can add a single unit, which I think is going to be artillery. And we have plenty of artillery in storage, so this is what we're going to do. Eventually we'll switch out the support artillery for something else. Spanish Civil War is over. The Spanish Civil War is finally over, and it seems like the Kingdom of Spain has emerged triumphant. Much of the countryside lies in ruins, and order has not been completely restored. But the Spanish government announced that the anarchist and syndicalist threats had finally been dealt with, and would unlikely rise again anytime soon. Hey, Crypt. Hey, Marshall. I can see the video now. I'm on Impulse. Good. Glad that you can. Meanwhile, how is this civil war going? Not terribly. And this one? Are you actually going to take these two provinces at last? Because those two have held out for far too long. I feel like the CSA is actually pushing the AUS back. I feel like they've lost some of this coastline. And how's my manpower doing? We're at 94%, so we're getting there slowly but surely, but obviously we could do with more. I'm not sure how we can achieve that though, because we are already on extensive conscription. Finland's going to have a really big manpower problem. What's up in Brazil? It's the Empire of Brazil. You've restored the Empire. Ah, and you're not drilling anymore. You're doing them. And in fact, can I start converting these to this? We'll gain 300 manpower, 150 infantry equipment, and we can spend a bunch of towed artillery. You know what? Yes, we absolutely can. I think we're actually going to do that for all of them. Which we can afford. Excellent. Then those guys are going to have to be in a new army, which we'll start drilling. Kingdom of Ukraine took 6 states. Socialist Ukraine was annexed. I am so sorry to hear that. Alright, new technology. It is... Hey, old man Mordaith, how are you doing? Hope all is well. It's the 1st of December, so I'm going to wait until the end of the month before we start the next technology, so that we don't have any technology penalties. Hello Raiders, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. We are playing Hearts of Iron 4, Kaiserreich, as the Kingdom of Finland. University of Helsinki is done, which gives us another technology. Again, I think I'm going to wait until the end of the month before I make use of that. And this is going to allow me to get financial strength, which finally gets rid of Black Monday. Finland has finally taken its rightful place, rising out of the ashes of Black Monday. We can now look upon the world in a position of safety, a position whereby we possess what many do not, financial strength. And that is going to get rid of the rather nasty 20% construction speed penalty, 5% production efficiency, 5% production efficiency growth, and of course the 20% factory output. Ugh. More like Funland. Can the Vikings resist cute cats? I mean, no! Cats are awesome. What were you just playing? Crusader Kings? Is that with the new expansion? Is that actually out yet? You can see how much I've been paying attention to that recently. Stellaris Ancient... Oh, is that any good? Hey Viking, there must be a focus in your tree that gives more manpower. I would hope... Ooh, okay, that's a big one. So the Empire of Japan has just declared war on the Allgemeine Ostasian Gesellschaft, which of course is German. No, it's not. It's independent. How did that happen? They went down the freedom line? No, they didn't. Of course, it's a Chinese faction. They don't actually have a focus tree. I think the AOG is doomed here, and Japan is going to get super strong. Not allowed to give formal opinions due to embargo, being getting overly excited about dig spites. Fair enough. Yeah, I just haven't had time to check out either Stellaris or Crusader Kings. Total War 3 Kingdoms has been taking up like my entire time. Dig sites, not cities. It's part of the archaeology stuff. Total War looks so good. Total War is so good. As someone in chat said earlier, it's the best Total War in a decade, and I'd kind of agree with that. Peru has joined the Buenos Aires-Lima axis. The geopolitical scales continue to tip, changing their balance, and with them, many a strategic calculus. So how's this looking? Ooh. The Buenos Aires-Lima axis. And then Brazil, of course, being in the Entente. As is Panama. Oh, no, it looks like the AUS has pushed them back out. Because I do remember that Charleston was one of the battlegrounds for quite a long time. And it looks like the AUS has actually taken Charleston. I think that's as far north as they'd gotten before. So this border is a little bit flexible, but I don't think that this border changes much. Oh, no, yes it does. The PSA has finally taken those two holdout provinces. They can focus all of their forces going due east now. The CSA is definitely losing ground. Also, it's the 4th of January, so I am wasting technology. 1939. I'll take some construction, and I'll take the advanced machine tools. Thank you very much. Alright, I've got a rest. In pure Canadian, I'd like to thank you for accepting the raid. Hey, the Vikings, we're polite as well. We at least shout and yell when there's a raid of something going on, and we understand that raids are done in the good spirit of friendship between our two nations. After all, the Vikings were in Canada too. So, you know, Mikasa e Sukasa. Sukasa e Mikasa. The Mashariki government has gone into exile for a 5th, 6th, 7th time. They keep on dying. Repeatedly. What nation am I playing in EU4 tomorrow? That's the secret. The US split into 3 factions. What happened in this timeline? Yeah. The US split actually into 4 factions, but the USA was wiped out by the Pacific States of America. And when that happened, the Pacific States and the American Union State declared, well, made an alliance against the Communist States of America. And these two combined might is able to just about surpass the CSA, although this is a fairly close run thing. This is a long and bloody war. Like already in this conflict, there have been 2.8 million losses on the Pacific side and 2.1 million losses on the CSA side. Brutal. A Great Depression from World War I's end that got worse in 1936 along with the possible assassination of FDR. I forget if that's still part of the law. I don't think it is. I think FDR was just kicked out of office because America lost the First World War, so like a lot of pride was lost. And as part of that, the country went into a deep depression, which was then doubled down upon by the Black Monday, which was Germany's depression. And because of that, lots of radical people started to rise. Alright, new focus. We've gotten the financial strength done. So what else is still available? Are we just onto the military stuff now? I think we are.